Today is the day after OpenAI announced their new model O3. I want to call out 5 things that I don't think are widely understood about the model, and I want to talk them through here. The first one is the ARC AGI prize, which is a prize that was established for the first model to reach a practical artificial general intelligence state. This model is so good, O3 is so good, they had to issue a special statement explaining why they are not going to award the prize to O3. And spoiler alert, it's not because it's not smart enough. The human baseline on the current ARC AGI prize testing suite is 85%, and O3 hit 87, human equivalency. And the reason why they're not awarding the prize is because they feel that O3 is too expensive to really be practical to employ, which I think is fair. It's running $1,000, $2,000 a pop. That feels kind of pricey. But it should call out how we've entered this weird moment, right? Where we are now in the blurry beginnings of artificial general intelligence. Number 2, O3 Mini is coming. So what people don't realize is that when they launch a full model, it becomes easier to distill inference down and get a faster, quicker model that has most of the same capabilities. And so, based on early benchmarking, it looks like O3 Mini, which will probably come out in January or February of this year, is going to be vastly cheaper than O1 is right now, better than O1, faster than O1, but of course not nearly as good as full O3. That's still plenty of intelligence for most applications. You may well see O3 Mini in Cursor or Windsurf or your development environment of choice in the first quarter. So we need to start expecting that we will get this TikTok motion where you have a full cycle of intelligence breakthrough and then a distillation cycle that follows it, that distills that inference down in a way that's not quite as good, but is very, very fast and much cheaper. This brings me to number 3. I don't think people really understand how these inference time compute engines work. And calling them an LLM is a little bit deceptive at this point. So at the end of the day, they appear to be solving for deep thinking and deep reasoning with O3 the way the architecture of AlphaGo worked. And if you don't know that story, very briefly, AlphaGo was the computer program that beat Go, which is an ancient game that is very, very difficult for humans to play well, and that was considered harder than chess. And effectively now it's been solved by machine learning. And the way they did it was they actually stuck a Monte Carlo simulation on top of multiple different engines that could run Go. So closing that example, moving over to O3 and how it connects. O3 is running Monte Carlo simulations across thousands of calls to large language models, we think. And that means that it can imagine multiple possible paths to the solution, run them through these calls to the LLMs, and then come back and pick the one that it feels has the highest probability. And that's how it's doing insanely difficult mathematics problems and other things. It's also why it takes a while, and it's also why it's so expensive. And I think that people think of an LLM as sort of a monolithic entity, like it's a one thing, right? It's a large language model, but it's like calling Amazon an e-commerce store, right? Like it's an easy interface stretched over this gigantic warehouse network and insanely complex tech. In the same way, O3 is like this simple interface stretched across this insane patchwork together simulation, thousands of calls, LLMs, etc. And I think knowing how it works helps. Number 4, this is really, really good at coding. O3 is currently benchmarked as the number 175th best programmer in the world. So is it better than every single programmer? Not yet. Is it better than 99.99% of us? Yes. I would put myself at the bottom there, right? Like I'm not good, but like, is it better than almost everybody who picks up code? Yes. And by the next generation, is it going to be number 1? Quite possibly, quite possibly. Okay, this brings me to number 5. I do not think that everybody is going to lose their job for a very simple reason. 98% of the world doesn't know about this, and cultural change takes time. So when the steam engine was invented, it took 150 years to fully realize the impact of the steam engine across society. We may be much, much faster with AI, but even much, much faster, is way, way slower than you're probably thinking right now. I walked through an airport yesterday. I guarantee you, I was the one in the airport that was thinking the most about AI. Everybody else around me was acting like nothing had changed. And I knew that O3 had been released. I knew what the ARC AGI scores were, and nobody was paying any attention. That is going to be the way it is. And the people who understand AI and what just happened, we're going to feel like a fish out of water for a while. It's going to be a very weird year. So stick with me. We'll figure it out together. I'm working on some scaling laws and questions around AI that I think that we need to think about in the light of O3, and I'm going to put those into a longer Substack. So there you go. Cheers. Good luck with the weird future we all live in.